So, welcome everybody to this next journey beyond Earth, maybe some planets, certainly above the void, and certainly back into the higher realities, so that we can have that stuff rub off on us. You know, if there's pure energy, there's no negative nature, there's no time and space, and you go back there because you're all still there right now. This is the most challenging thing to get someone to wake up to on Earth growing up here, because they have no idea where they came from, how they got here, what their purpose for existing is. None of it's all been suppressed. By the time they end up on Earth, they don't remember any of this. So recovering that is done by direct experience. There's no other way. A person has to go on their own journeys. A person can't watch one of these journeys and have the experience of changing their consciousness. They can get prepared through them. That's what they're for. They're put on YouTube to help other people. But you're surprised how many people in this world watch them like entertainment, follow this work, but they don't ever inquire to go on these journeys themselves. It's very strange, especially with people in the United States for some reason. It's odd. Not you few, but most people. They can get on one of these journeys and just have their mind blown, just everything changing. That's fantastic. And then they drift away shortly thereafter. It's just something else pulls their attention away, something negative generally. You know, I've tried to encourage people to watch what they do on the internet, not to be shy and not to be afraid to see what's there, but to be careful not to identify with anybody, anywhere, peddling fear.
Mm.
It can be Elon Musk, it could be Donald Trump, it could be we won't even use those characters because they're not peddling fear as far as I know right now. But it could be anybody, you know, that's in the UFO community that people respect that suddenly start peddling fear. And when they do that, if you pay attention to it, these people, I don't care how famous they are, who they are not being productive toward anybody if they're putting out any fear. I'll give you a classic example. Anybody putting out there's going to be a false flag invasion of this planet by reverse engineered US classified spacecraft to try to create a new world order are blind, because that's done. That's over. There's a new world order in place. It didn't get announced. It wasn't brought about through some cataclysmic thing. They already have a classified government. They have since after World War II, since the 50s. So it isn't something that can happen. It's not going to be a false flag invasion. That's fear mongering, fear peddling, because fear makes money. Whether it's political or religious or just people trying to do the right thing on the internet or researching UFOs, if they peddle fear, they're not doing anybody any good. That just keeps the primary implant controlled, turned on. So when we look at things on the internet, we have to be selective. Not deny ourselves the right to look, but don't get connected to that stuff and start indulging in it in fear, because then you're caught and you'll be off running around with the rest of the people, running around in circles like your foot's nailed to the floor and you're trying to run forward and you're going around like this. Fear is not constructive. There's no way we can mix fear with the nature of the higher Atma faculties that are in each of us as a spherical being. Those faculties have never been perverted. The inside of the Atma has never had a negative nature, ever. It's not made of negative matter. It can't record negative things. It's in the energy field that surrounds the outside of us, that's where the problems have been collected over many years and many lifetimes on many levels. So when we go on these journeys, one of the things that is done that you're not always, we don't always talk about it telepathically, is you're actually addressing your astral body. You have a life you're living there, each one of you, and your causal body and your mental body and your etheric body. This is the kind of thing that people just have no idea on Earth, that they are running bodies more than one dimension right now. One Atma, a multidimensional capable being from Source, is running all these different forms on these different planes. And since nobody's taught it, really had much time in their life on Earth to research this stuff, they don't bring the awareness of it here. And it stays subconscious. It stays unknown to them. One of the things we're responsible to do in awakening and becoming a co-creator with Source is we have to accept, one, our responsibility for having created this mess, along with all the other Atmas that exist. Long ago, this whole failed experiment of good and evil that runs the lower dimensions of time and space, that's been so successful at trapping Atmas in the illusion of physical form. So successful that you might say that what was originally intended for the lower dimensions to be mirrors of the upper worlds failed miserably. It never worked. And so it stays perpetual, non-changing. What's changing, what has already changed in the upper worlds and is changing in the omnipresent sound, the omnipresent hue, what people call divine spirit, is moving in one direction, and it's designed to set it's designed to set people free from having a subconscious mind at all, period, because we're not meant to have one. We're not supposed to have one. That's earth thinking, and it's only earth thinking for the most part. This kind of thing doesn't exist on most planets outside of this earth. Can you imagine how shocked people will be when they discover just how backward earth humans are compared to the rest of everything out there and the greater God they pray to? Earth is very much an enigma in creation. Great, it's got automobiles and airplanes and 8 billion people, and it's overpopulated, and they're just running as fast as they can to annihilate themselves. They can't help it. So I don't blame people in government or religious orders that fight with each other or anything else, because I know what was done to them. So it's not a matter of me forgiving anybody. I'm not the source. It's a matter of me not getting caught up in what they're doing. Even if I'm surrounded by such people, I just put out the hue. I put out good vibes. I don't get into discussions with anybody about politics or religion for the most part, because it ends in a disaster. It ends in nothing coming out of it constructive at all. And it's a waste of time. So we have what people don't understand, the opposite of lust. Lust can be not just sexual, but money and power and accumulation, lust in any way. The opposite of that is right discrimination. People don't know this. What does that mean, right discrimination? It means the ability to be plugged into the omnipresent power we are anyway, consciously, and determine who to talk to and who not to and why at every moment of every day. Right? So that we make the best decisions we can. It's a difficult challenge to make proper decisions when you're awakening on this planet. One of the decisions we have to make on our own is that we choose not to fixate into negative things. Get on the internet and just get fired up into something negative. Political or religious, UFOs, pros and cons, good guys, bad guys, classified people, the Illuminati, everybody's going to take everybody over. You ever notice how people stay very unconscious as long as they're involved in those things? They just don't grow. They do not change at all. They stay right where they are. This has been a big problem for Earth people, because Earth people don't even know, for the most part. They have a subconscious mind that misdirects their daily decisions. If we want the higher energies to run our lives, fear cannot be mixed with it. We cannot mix fear with the energies where we're going. Can't take it there. And we cannot mix fear with decisions we make on Earth, or they'll be the wrong decisions. I know I've made plenty of them in this life. Where you realize, oops, that was the wrong thing. I made that decision based on fear. And you always have trouble with such things. So what happens on these journeys, and the beings that I work with, that you work with when we go on these journeys, their primary focus is to keep your fears turned off for the journey, no matter what they might be. no matter how subconscious, no matter how many lives it comes from, or where you decided to shut down some higher faculty right at the beginning, and then it's a dwindling spiral after that. We start shutting off the ability to access some of our natural faculties in the Atma, co-creative faculties with Source. Then we're less capable the next time we have to make a decision. If you put that over 1 billion years, you can see why you would end up on Earth with no memory at the end of it, or be vulnerable to be caught and put on Earth. The real question people don't ask, they should, is why was I vulnerable to be caught in the first place? That's the right question. Because if you ask a question like that, there's this personal responsibility in it. And the hue will pay attention to you differently than it ever has before. It begins to see that you need to come back home, and it begins to find a way to get you there. As long as you don't fight it all the time too much. See what I mean? Any questions about that from any of you? We want to discuss a little of this before we go on the journey? We can. Now would be the time. Because it will be on the recorded journey, and it might be beneficial to others. So have at it if you want to, or not. You don't have to. No pressure. You don't have to say a thing if you don't want to. It won't change the outcome. It'll still be good. Okay, then I will mute these microphones. You can turn them on if you need to speak to me. That's not a problem. We'll just get a better recording quality if I shut those down. What is it we're doing? Ask yourself this question. Remember, we're telepathically linked now. The recording's begun. That means source energy is moving through me, and it's moving through you, and through beings in between us and around us for our benefit. It's hard to, no, it's not hard. I don't want to say that. As easy as it sounds when I say it, people have a very challenging time understanding, grokking what I just said. Because they don't have a reality on leaving their body. They do every night, but they don't remember it. Most people are afraid to remember that. The demons will get them if you get out of your body. That's a good one. A lot of people believe this, or they're taught this in their particular religion. That's a way of controlling people for money, and that's all. Some people mean well by saying it, but it's not constructive, because it compels people to focus on positive and negative all throughout their lives. You know, fear of the devil. You want to leave your body, the devil's waiting. No, there is no devil waiting. Well, where we go into the pure you. There's no negative nature out in space where we go. There's no demons, there's no bad guys, there's no reptilians, no grays. Nobody at all can come near the energy when we're in it. It is master over such things throughout the multidimensional creation. So we go into the pure hue, right in space outside of Earth. We begin there. And we do it outside of Earth's atmosphere, so we're not influenced by that. It's just the H2O in the atmosphere and the water is just packed full of negative stuff. Everything people have done to everyone on this planet is recorded in the water on this planet. It does not leave the planet. It does not go out into the greater hue. You can't store that in the hue. The hue supports it. It's in the atmosphere. You breathe it in. But you can't involve. It's impossible to involve fear and negative natures in creating your way back to freedom with the hue, because it will not support that. It'll support you as a being, but it waits to see if we can make the right choices, see if we can be trusted with freedom, if we expect to be given a helping hand from these wonderful, masterful beings. They will do it, but I know from my own experience they will not do it until they know you'll keep it. If something is given to you, a little lift over a hurdle you can't quite get over on your own, they'll do it. Real masters do not just enlighten people, wave a magic wand and they're fine, because the person would just trap themselves the next day. They haven't gotten rid of anything, they're not more aware, So how could they keep what they've already lost? See? So they want people to get to a point where their sincerity, their genuineness about wanting to recover and being co-creator with Source awakens enough for it to be real. It makes a big difference. We go on the journeys, there's always a couple, masterful beings I call them, but not people born on earth, who will stand behind you or go with you on these journeys to keep your fears and negative stuff turned off, including mine. Even I would trust in great measure people like Terrellian and Satnam and Chantel and Tonaltiel and Dantiel and Lamtiel, many other beings from other worlds, to know how to keep that stuff turned off. They know how to do it without any effort at all. They grow up with it. It's not a challenge. It's not hard. So for them, it's easy to do. And then we work into gaining back our own mastery of being a being who has no negative nature and operating in the lower worlds of time and space where negative and positive exists, sending out energy that does not compromise us to split this positive and negative into this. All you got to do to trap a person is get them to do this. Put out imagination and opposing forces and put their heart into both. And you got them doing this. That grounds the energy in the earth. It keeps them here. And when they pass away, they get compelled to want to come back here again and seek the false security of a physical body as if it was anything secure. They're not. We're supposed to run them, not be trapped in the illusion we are one. So that's where the basis of this work comes from. When I'm doing that, I'm not the only one doing it. Every one of you are doing it because it generates from the white core of your being. It radiates in 360 degrees and connects to the energy that surrounds us, which is the omnipresent living power. That power is as close as your breath. It's in space right outside the planet's atmosphere. It looks black in Hubble Space Telescope images, but to the Atma, it is not black at all. Human eyes cannot see into a high enough frequency to see it, so it interprets it as dark. When you're in this energy of the universe, zero-point energy as some more advanced scientists call it, we are actually hovering out in the outside of Earth's atmosphere in a pure form of the hue. It literally supports all the galaxies that spin on their axis and float in this thing. And like I've said many times, the more advanced races out there understand how to work with that energy, because that energy, as scientists on Earth know today, is not nuclear or atomic. It's not atoms. It's not molecules. It's not noble gases. It's not electrons. It's not protons. It's an energy behind that, supporting it. The thing we call a toroidal field that comes out of the south pole of our being, just like it does around the Earth, comes around the outside of the Atma and goes in the North Pole. It's in that field, that electromagnetic field, where electromagnetic holographic images can be placed. You get it? And they can be done in such a way that the subconscious is there because you're terrorized to look at it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be subconscious. So beings who misuse science in the past would know how to generate some kind of an experience to traumatize. Now, you know, the Atma really can't be harmed. They can't put anything like that in the Atma itself, in any of its layers. But they can place it outside of it. And some of the stuff we put in those outer layers are ourselves. We've picked up over millions of lives, lived great lives and been killed, run over by a spaceship, herd of elephants ran you over and stomped you in the ground, whatever happened. These things create, with ignorance and a lack of experience, they create a thing that says, I'm never going to use whatever higher energy I had that got me in that pickle, into that problem. And we'll put these little blocks up in our own field. So these are the things that we want to get neutralized with friends from out of town. Not just secondary and primary implants, that's just the beginning. These journeys are to get the faculties in each of the layers of the Atma turned back on. All abilities to create and imagine wonderful new things come from those faculties being, most of them are just dormant. They're just not on. I've turned them off for one reason or another over a very vast period of time. And they have to be recovered. The ability to use them is built in. We don't have to figure out how to use them. We have to remember how to use them. And then once that happens, this translates to how you are on Earth. And that one power that's in the atmosphere of Earth can manifest anything to us or around us. But we cannot mix fear with it or we'll negate the effect. In other words, it'll come to us in a positive and negative way, generally more negative than positive with people on Earth, and it'll produce and ground the very results we're trying to achieve. Because it really does not favor anyone in that way. It just supports what people do, wrong or right, with their creative imagination. Creative imagination is not something that's made up in the brain anyway. We know that. It's what you see when you imagine anything. And it's the Atma that's seeing it, not the body. This is one of the biggest things that people advance when they recover awareness of this. You mean I don't imagine in my brain? No. They're never going to find in science, in medicine or anything else, anything in the brain that can generate images and project it on a bunch of brain cells from other brain cells. It's just silly. The ability to see into the multidimensional creation is what the Atma does. You, the real being, the spherical being. People on Earth, another thing that wakes them up is when they find out what it looks like. People on Earth haven't got a clue what soul is. They talk about it all day long, flap their lips, but they haven't got a clue what it is they believe in. They're not sure if the soul is the body or part of the body or something else, or maybe they have a soul somewhere they put away in a closet, or it's in their back pocket, or maybe it's somewhere in the body like the heart. No, it isn't. It's really much quite separate from any physical form and runs on many levels. So with this awareness going as the momentum and the motivation to go this journey, we are very clever. We are very much ahead of the game. To know this before we leap out into space and have friends turn off anything that's left negative or subconscious in us at all. All of it. They just shut it down. They don't try to move it out of you, because then they would be taking it away from your own experience and you wouldn't gain any wisdom from it. When we review the things we've blocked ourselves that go beyond secondary and primary implants, they get out of the way first, so we have more courage and more energy to deal with this stuff. That's the point. That way you're enlightening the consciousness you have on Earth. And believe it or not, the way it's working in the lowest of planets and the most negative contrasts we have around us, we're actually bringing this awareness of waking up the Atma to the physical body first. It's not like people think. And then that's being transmitted to the astral, causal, mental, and etheric bodies. Most of you don't even remember you're running right now. And it enlightens them. And so we bring people like Turelian and Satnam and silent mentors in proximity to these other bodies and get them aware of each other. Your higher selves, for the most part, have not been helping you. You know what people call their higher self in some esoteric groups? They just assume that this is good and they're helping them. But if they're not conscious of it, no, they are not. Once you start to become aware you have these other bodies, you're already, right now, in communication with them. So when we go on these journeys and come back, we're bringing that awareness to those bodies too. And we're going to do that on our return journey. You need the help of these other forms. You get all your emotion from the body you're running in the astral plane. It's made of energy that where matter is moved through emotion. Causal plane works in causative energies, the mental plane in thought. The etheric plane is more advanced because there's less negative merged with it. And so it's supposed to be a link across the void into the higher worlds. And what I've found in my journeys, the people living in the etheric plane, very advanced, very masterful, transparent bodies, and they live forever, millions of years, have not been journeying back home to be co-creators as they should have been. That's how effective the old failed experiment of good of evil has been, to trap a good part of what you would call God in the lower worlds, unaware of itself. It's a big problem if you want to change things, because they can't be changed that way. So we go on this journey to go to where things can be changed. Without conflict, without opposition, without positive and negative, without past life negative experiences getting in the way, holding us down. For a time, we become free beings. And we are bringing that freedom back to not just Earth, not just the League or Margaret or Anna or Renata or Susan or myself. We're bringing back to that body an enlightenment that it does not have and did not get growing up on this planet. So how are we expected to get free if we don't have any training in it? Well, you can't. And we're surrounded by billions of people who also are numb, suffering from a deep amnesia in exactly the same way. So they can't help you. We have to get that help from friends from out of town, from off-world, who have never been in this trap, who aren't suffering from subconscious minds, who do not have implants or engrams or any of that stuff, because their cultures are so much more advanced they don't allow it, would never tolerate it. See, to me, that's normal. That's just normal. So this work is to help people become normal again. As Atmas, not as bodies. You become normal as an Atma, and you have mastery over that body. Do you want to change it? You can do it within what we call spiritual law. What do I mean by that? For instance, if you immortalized a body and made it 36 right now, and excitedly went out and chatted about it and yelled it to the world, you'd be in deep doo-doo. Not only would it create great jealousy amongst powerful people, religiously or political, but your neighbors and your friends too would demand you share with them what you have before they're ready to have it, before they could even accept it. So it means we have to learn right discrimination. In right discrimination, we have the wisdom to know what's to do and when and with whom, who we should speak and who we should not speak to. We make mistakes. But if we're sincere, we get, in a sense, forgiven for that. These masters still work with us. And we learn a little bit better about how not to fall prey to negative fear. Fear, if you make a decision based on fear, I can guarantee you it will be the wrong one. Every time. So we want to at least have the consciousness to choose of our own awareness, not to indulge in such things. There are no reptilians with Nazis in Antarctica. That's something that's really big on the internet and other things like it. It's just fear peddling. People get caught in it because it makes money. Cures for cancer don't make money. You catch my drift here? Telling people the truth is not about making money. And it takes a considerable leap in courage to go into the you the way we are. And as you become boots on the ground, awaken to what is our potential is, it comes through you, this what we call the hue expansion ray, in full measure. It moves through you for your benefit, patient and careful with unraveling the tight knots of your subconscious. But it also moves through you for the benefit of others. This is normal, this is natural. So it's good for everybody. Shantiel and Tonaltiel and Dantian and Lamtian have been described for all of you before. They're here, but so are associates of theirs. And a couple, usually it's always a couple as far as I know so far for now, stands behind you, behind the Atma you are, as Atmas, and they project a physical form about 36, perfectly handsome, perfectly beautiful if you're a woman. As a individual man, like Marshall or myself, we project a perfectly handsome, 6 foot tall, kind of right around there, image of a human type form to each other. It's how we greet each other as Atmas. This goes back to the beginning with Satnam. He was the prototype. So you got to get this understood because you once knew it very well, long ago. Which means you already contain the awareness of what to do and how to do it. It's just either sleeping or blocked or some fear over it, something like that. As I said, what we're doing on these journeys has a lot to do with recovering who you are as the Atma and all of its potential. When we go on these journeys, we are now, these days, meeting with silent mentors. This has never occurred before in the history of the entire multidimensional creation until recently. You could say that the source or God or prime creator, whatever you want to call it, is changing, has changed, because some beings have brought back to it new possibilities. You need to understand, we're meant to go back to source to deliver new ways to do things from our experience. And if you don't do that, well, it can't change, because we are collectively make up this source we call prime creator. So more beings need to come back to that source to change the reality of Earth or any world. The silent mentors are doing something now that they have never done before. For the most part, Atmas like us, with master teachers teaching us in different lives, never had any direct contact with these beings. They were not teachers for you. They weren't there to save you or set you free. They were a completely separate order to run the mechanics of creation, keep it all in place while we fumble around in it. This is changing. Because silent mentors, if we want to rub shoulders with them and become all the better for it, we have to go above the void to where they are. There is no other way. They're too powerful and too evolved to just walk around on Earth and meet you on the street at a coffee shop. There wouldn't be any coffee shop. It's not how they work. And they're not meant to work like that. We can now associate with them, which means as we do this, we're becoming something new in creation, not just an Atma, not just a master teacher, but something that's a kind of a blend between a silent mentor who has absolute unlimited freedom in the entire creation and someone who has the compassion or love or cares about other beings and helping them become free. Something in between. What I'm sharing with you now in this way is coming out for the first time. It's been done in the guided journeys with Perry in Thailand, but it's being done for you, for your benefit. So this couple hovering near the ceiling, when you imagine yourself up near the ceiling, looking down on your body, it's as simple and exactly the same thing as imagining going to the store or taking a walk. You first visualize where you want to go, and then the body follows. The body does no motivational center of its own. Genetic entities that run bodies do not generally run themselves. They can be put on automatic, in which we put them on in the trance state we call sleep that you're all in now. But you do that every night anyway, like masters. You never had a problem putting the body to sleep. I mean, not saying you all don't have restless nights where you don't sleep well, but I'm saying everybody knows how to do that. They take it for granted on Earth, but they don't realize the complex nature of who and what it is that's running that body and how it runs it. It runs it through the pineal gland in the center of the brain. This was designed by the Say race a long time ago. Races from the stars that fly in ships and come here way faster than the so-called limit of the speed of light, which, by the way, there is none. It doesn't take billions of years for the light from other stars to get here. Think about this. The stars have always been gleaming to Earth before there was even science or electricity on this planet. They've been consistently glowing all that time. How can you determine what gets here in what time because you decide to check the speed of light with physical eyes and Earth bodies in the atmosphere of Earth, which is going to give you a false understanding of it. And it just traps people into self-limitation. Well, beings can't come here from other stars. They're too far away. They'll never get here. They're thinking like rocket ship people, Earth people. It's silly. Earth as it is now, in my view, is prehistoric. It's not a very evolved planet yet. It has a lot of changing to go through. And the people on it even more. So this is the communication Turelian and Satnam or others are sending to you right now. You do not have to become some supreme being later on through some evolution millions of years from now where you can dematerialize and float and fly around. That's old stuff. You guys all knew how to do that very well long ago. This is about recovering that so you can move into something greater. So if you're near the ceiling looking at your body, there's you, spherical, a sphere beside each of you, male, one female. Yeah, they have those kind of non-physical genders, even as Atmas. Yep. And then there's you, and there's them, and you all look about the same age. Incredibly beautiful, incredibly handsome, flawless, not like people on Earth. Because this form you project is not made of physical matter. It is not DNA. The Say rays did not make that form in you. That comes as a projection from the white core of your being as an Atma. When I send out the hue, you're going to find yourself in space in a circle around Turelian. This is easy stuff. No more difficult than going to the store or getting in a car. You get the body in a car and turn the key and then drive it, you think, to the store. But that's not what's happening. The Atma is getting the body into the car to turn the key to go to the store. Bodies do not motivate themselves. They are machines. Very advanced biological type of machines that break down or rust or get bad bumpers over time, etc. Because people on Earth aren't given any kind of mechanics manual to repair the body. They don't even know how to cure the common cold here, much less replace an organ without surgery. Simple stuff. You got a bad heart. Well, they'll just beam an energy into that spot, put a brand new heart there made from your own T cells, at the same time detach the other one instantaneously so there's no cutting or opening the body. This is easy stuff. For people in other worlds, they don't get damaged organs because they don't eat poison. They don't breathe it either. And they have more than two-stranded DNA as human beings. They have greater advantage than us as we are on Earth. But the way we are on Earth is not, let's just say, not the most evolved type of human that exists out there. We once were them. We once had such forms long ago. As members of the Galactic Alliance, which we all were. That thing's been around for 500,000 years. And before that, we were members of world systems here and other galaxies that were equally as evolved. I'd have to say the difference now is that we are traveling beyond the void and returning home as we should have a long time ago. There is a protection that comes with this. There is a way open for us to do this now, or we would not be doing it. I'm going to send out the hue, and we're going to open a vortex above Satnam. You know how this works. All the way to the void and higher. This hue is going to carry a tone for each plane and then create a vortex to bypass the lower planes of time and space. So we can go straight to the void and not waste time piddling around with astral phenomena or mental phenomena or whatever else. Because we want to bring back to those forms you're running an enlightenment that gets them awake out of fear and working with each other so they can work with you down here. They're all you. You are them. They are you. The Atma you are is running all of them. In space, in the hue, in the first sound. That's just space right outside of Earth. I'm not kidding. That's what people call divine spirit. It's right there. It is not physical matter. Dark matter, they used to call it. Because they didn't understand it. They couldn't see it, but they could detect it with instruments. It's there. It doesn't obey the laws of physics. It doesn't act like atoms and molecules and gravity and light and heat. It doesn't work like that. It's just everywhere. All the billions of galaxies in the physical dimension we're in are little things like the head of a pin in this huge other energy that supports them. So out in space, standing around Turelian, we're actually literally standing in a higher form of the hue than is in space. Here's why. When you look at Turelian standing 18 feet tall with his kind of a golden white gown on, and he's got these slightly pointed ears and his big blue eyes, slightly blonde hair to his shoulders, 18 feet tall, standing there, perfectly formed, handsome 36-year-old kind of guy. The Atma that's a spherical, beautiful Atma hovering above this form he's showing you is the real Turelian. He is that and knows it fully. The form he's showing you is not a physical body. It's not made of DNA, it's not made of atoms. And each one of you standing in a circle with me around him have a body below the Atma you're running that looks just like that. I mean, you're not 18 feet tall, but it's flawless. It has no negative components or nature in it at all. This is a prototype, this form. We should be able to superimpose it over any form we have running on any plane. Think about this. That takes considerable awakening and the help of master teachers and scientist master teachers who know how to do this kind of thing to one degree or another. People talk about med beds on Earth without really understanding what they are or what they do. You get suspended in a gravitational field. You're not floating on a bed, you're inside a unit floating in the air within it. And then frequencies are used to transform what you experience as the human body in any way they wish to do it, but only in constructive ways. The Say rays, the Oceanans, and the Zeotronamus races in the physical Milky Way galaxy are all master genetic scientists, but very enlightened as far as the Atma goes as well. They've mastered all this stuff a long time ago. You break down the components of a twin-stranded DNA, you have genomes, which are switches activated by precise frequencies. You got a bad lung, a bad heart, something like that, something went wrong. They just activate the switches to turn those genomes right. Or they just transport a new organ in there at the simultaneously point of removing a bad one. Nothing needs to be cut open, nothing needs to be invaded. There's no cancer. There's no mutated anything in normal bodies. They don't have virus, colds, or influenza you can catch in their atmospheres. Duh. If you had the ability to get rid of that stuff, the old ancient developments of primordial life that now is in conflict with you, would you get rid of it? Well, sure you would. These other worlds are not like Earth. Out in space, there are other beings here, Ramu, standing near the Earth in a circle. I'm now standing beside Tyrellian. Little guy compared to them, but I've got this Atma that's just about as big as his. Not as bright. I mean, he's much more ancient. You know, more akin to silent mentors and things like that, because that who the Say-Rays mentors are silent mentors. Have been for several billion years. So the form he's showing you is a mock-up. It is what he had over 1 billion Earth years ago, before their entire race immortalized their form. So why is he showing it to us? He doesn't have a physical body. I'm not even sure he has an astral, causal, mental, or etheric body. This guy's whole. Can move around the planes without the need for such things. So when he wants to mock up a physical form, you could even walk up and touch it. It's as easy for him to do it. The 12-stranded DNA that was of that body was stored. He just pulls it out, and the hue energy around us fills it, and there it is, presto. But think of it this way. We're doing the same thing. Somehow, when fear is turned off, which it is in all of you right now, we can do it. Just as easy as breathing. Oh, Pelham's further out away from Ambassador Trillian, standing in a circle. And he's showing you this Galactic Alliance uniform on with his jet black hair to his shoulders, emerald green eyes. I mean, he's just very advanced. The Atma's hovering above him. He's showing you a physical form the way it actually looks on Oceania. He moves around. He's on Oceania, where Eta and Din come from. They're hovering above Tyrellian. Or he could go to Agam Purusha in the Himalayas of the third higher parallel dimension Earth as it exists 3 levels up in the physical universe. And he gets around. Satnam is hovering higher up above Eta and Din. And there are 2 couples, actually 4 couples today, alternating around him from male to female, just below where his feet are. Single pastel gown, a different color on each one, different colored hair to their shoulders on each one. Trim, perfect form. And then above that is this Atma, 4 times bigger than us, twice as many teardrop levels in it, twice as many faculties, really. And they're there as a demonstration. Do they have to come down to the physical universe? No. They're stationed in the physical universe and planets and galaxies and all of that. But this is something new. So above Satnam, who you see up there with his 2 gold bracelets on his upper arms and his bare chest and his little white tunic dress from his waist down to his bare feet, bronze skinned, gold eyes, luminous, looks to be about 36, but if you look at him, he looks ageless. It's hard to describe. And a very much bigger Atma hovering above him. This is the form he chooses to show people when he shows any form at all. Above him is a vortex that was created when we sent out the hues together. It's a golden, white, luminous energy vortex. Looks like an hourglass shape with a narrow middle, rotating clockwise. There's a blue-green mix of what looks like water revolving around it. It isn't, although I can tell you H2O in its more liquid and gaseous form is used in this way to create a conduit, bypassing the lower planes, but passing through them safely. So the energy that's coming through that vortex from the void and higher is coming down through Satnam, through Ambassador Turelian, out his closed fists with his thumbs up. You know, it's kind of a glowing, brighter yellow gold light, and it's creating a bit of a transparent hull, like the hull of a spaceship, around this group of people. There are several couples in between each one of you who are master teachers, standing in a circle around Turelian, and an inner circle between him and us, facing you. And these are master teachers that are going with us on this journey to begin a session of teaching in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. So the journeys are very practical. Not only are for your benefit, but other beings ride on them, including members from the Galactic Alliance, such as the couple that is keeping any fear turned off in you for now. Any subconscious nature whatsoever, from any life, anywhere, just turned off. So we're floating in this pure higher hue that is coming through Turelian. One of the things he does, and yes, the silent mentors are involved in this. Those 4 couples up there, they help set up that vortex. They help maintain it and guard it once it's created. It is their job. It's what they do. They run the mechanics of creation. I never get in their way. They know exactly what they're doing. I share gratitude with them every moment of every day. Satnam already knows how I respect him. This is not in question. They are here to escort us up into that vortex and on a greater journey. When we come back from this journey, we will be visiting a few planets in the physical Milky Way galaxy to connect the dots of eternity with the physical world, the physical universe. We're coming back and bringing back with us an energy that is not perverted, twisted, warped, bent in any way. It is the hue, but we're bringing back with us the hue that as it exists above the void. It comes with us in our field of energy, and it continues through us when we come back to Earth for our benefit and for the benefit of others. Kind of consider that this is how we earn our wings. Do you have to figure it out? No. Is it complicated? No, unless you make it that way. We just let it happen. We co-create it. These beings know what they're doing. And as Satnam recedes up into the sound, which is like, take a crystal glass, and ping it or hit the side of it with a little felt mallet, and it starts ringing. The sound is like that because it's coming from above the void. And it is a power that draws us upwards. And Agam Purusha is involved in this too. Make no mistake about that. quite consciously aware of what we're doing. So as he disappears up in this vortex, followed by these 4 couples of silent mentors, whose faces you cannot see details in, unless you look closely and you see this white golden light, and you see all these levels and levels of galaxies and dimensions. That's how they think. But we get to experience a little bit of this. The silent mentors are not the pure form they're showing you. They're this huge Atma hovering above those forms. Spherical, round. We are round because we exist from source energy. Planets and moons and suns and stars and galaxies and everything in them is round because they are made in the image of their creators. Take us all together as a collective bunch of Atmas. Place us in this huge prime creator or source globe or sphere, hovering on a white island. That's what creates and maintains everything. And we are part of it. We always have been. We suddenly shoot up into this opening in this oval, golden, white, transparent light. Tyrellian's standing in the middle of it. In the middle, we stop in the central section of it to look out right through this narrow area of this vortex. And what you're looking at is elements in the causal plane. Galaxies upon galaxies, much larger than in the physical universe, much brighter, and you know you have a life there. You just know it. You don't think about it. The Atma doesn't need to think with a mind. It operates, normally it doesn't need a mind or an emotional body to operate at all. It does that just to gain experience and to contribute something new in the various planes that have been created, where you have an astral, causal, mental and etheric body, as well as the physical you're running on Earth. All simultaneously. All is one Atma. The sound is pulling us upward. And we stop again 2/3 of the way up in this vortex and look through the walls, which are transparent. And you can see even brighter and larger galaxies. That's the mental plane. And you have a body there. It lives millions of years. It's not like Earth. It's made of matter and molecules, but of a much higher vibratory rate. There's more hue mixed in the Atma plane or the mental plane than in the physical universe, but there's still negative mixed with it. It's still a trap, or it can be. We go up a little further and you're in the etheric and you realize you have a body on one of 80,000 islands and just one planet. Huge, monstrous world. And you're standing in a transparent body with glowing eyes, like these etheric figures you see sometimes portrayed on the internet with transparent bodies. And you have a body you're running there and have had for millions of years compared to Earth time. And then we move upward. We find ourselves coming out the other end of this open, whirling doorway, still centered around Tyrellian, keeping focused. And you look down through that opening and it vanishes. And now everything around us is a pale, brilliant, but what I call a pale blue light. The golden white light of the hue is behind it, supporting it. There are beings here, actually. We're not going to go on a journey to see them now. And we won't unless it's constructive. I have met them. Most beings never see them passing through there. Even many master teachers do not know of their presence. They run the void. There are other beings, these birds with long V-shaped split tails, that sing and maintain it into creation. There are Atmas hovering above those bird bodies. We are now in pure hue energy, the first sound, as it manifests without any negative nature in the void itself. It is a barrier or a dividing place between the upper realities, where there is no time and space or negative nature, which is who we are, and the lower worlds of time and space, where such things like good and bad and evil and hate and anger and love and all that stuff exists temporarily. Bodies are temporary because they were never designed to be permanent habitats for the Atma in the first place. And then we're moving upward. And high up we can see Sat Nam and these four couples of silent mentors still moving upward like in a spiral, straight up through this infinite vastness. In short order, we see a beach approaching us. We're approaching this white, luminous, diamond-like beach. It's very wide. It has this pale blue luminosity coming up to it like ocean water, kissing the shore, just sitting there. The beach extends in each direction as far as you can see. The first impression you get is that this is a huge circular floating landmass somewhere. That diamond-like beach has a charge to it. It's actually made of what you would call, I guess, diamond-like crystals. Like pure diamonds, glittering inside it, like no diamond on earth can glow like these do. And you find yourself with your feet wiggling in the diamond-like sand, bare feet. Remember, this is a pure human-like body that has senses, taste, touch, sight, smell, tactile sensation, motion, everything. Spatial relationships. Everything appears like a big hologram in a way. It's energy. And this energy of this beach, as it moves up your legs, it feels warm and cooling. It comes up through the top of your head and goes into the white core of your being. Satnam is standing on the beach. He's waving us onward as he levitates up above the sand. Remember, this is a pure body form he's showing you, and the Atma he is hovering above it. And we move inland over the top of these transparent trees with energy of the hue, the sound moving up and down in them. There are beings who run this world, maintain it. Silent mentors actually hold it in place. It is their job. So these four couples that are surrounding Turelian and moving over the top of these fruit and jungle trees of exotic varieties, we get met by dozens of these foot-long birds with long V-shaped split tails, rainbow-colored feathers, beautifully blended, just subtly so the color is continuous. Big blue eyes, two sets of bird wings hovering there around us like a hummingbird. You'll notice there is a quite large Atma hovering above each of them, closer resembling that of a silent mentor. And they are singing the sound of the hue with male and female voices that are flawless. They're welcoming us. And then they come up to you, and a couple, a mated pair, comes up to you and introduces themselves and says, hello, welcome. That's all they're doing. And they depart and go back about their business. When they're singing this hue and millions of these sounds that sounds like perfect male and female voices, you realize instantly that they are maintaining the void, seeing it into position, holding it there. That's their job. They're very happy to do it. We move over the jungle towards this long blue mountain range with snow on top. Too perfect. Perfectly flawless. There's no negative nature in what you see as solid form here. Everything is luminous. The ground, the trees, the birds, you, Satnam, Turelian, all luminous. And you realize that everything here is some form of Atma running it. So everything here is alive. But that means it also is charged with the hue and it glows. In the distance, near the mountain range, near the base, are two big lapis lazuli pillars like Greek pillars, laced with gold. Very beautiful. Glowing, mind you. Kind of a pyramid top, like holding up a Greek temple. And lots of these transparent glass-like buildings as far as you can see. And golden steps leading up, right between those pillars. And in the middle of them, under this triangular canopy it's holding up, is a kind of a throne chair made of a blue quartz with polished smooth edges. There's no cushion. And you know it's glowing. There's a golden white light coming down into it. It's a transmission tool. It's something Satnam uses. He doesn't sit in it that I've ever seen him. He uses it to run energies from the Atma plane into the void and so forth. There are other points that channel higher reality energy into this realm. In the background behind this throne chair is a triangular opening, quite large. You can see the base of these mountains and a vast field, beautiful trees, and there's a big fountain sitting there. Big blue, white, scalloped edges. And it has energy moving up and down it. It looks like the shape of a Christmas tree. Blue-green energy flowing up and down with a white golden light behind it, moving up and down, consistently moving. That comes all the way from source through Agam Purusha's realm. We can go through it to get to the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. Or we can go through the little fountain in the garden, quite a ways away from the base of those mountains. It has a statue of Satnam standing in it. There's a white golden light coming down into it. It is a doorway. It is literally a doorway. When we hover above the hue, this Atma plane, you want to see into the distance from very high up. This blue mountain range is one of many. This land is vast. It has every kind of conceivable country, mountainous structures, and valleys, and rivers, and waterfalls, all glowing. All the way out to a coast. Remember that white diamond-like beach? It extends in a circle around this landmass. It's just bigger than the lower dimensions. It's huge. Out in the distance, whole sections of it have like a golden ocean coming to it. And then it turns into a green ocean, and then a blue ocean, and all the colors of light and sound surrounding this place. And you can sense, you can see there are beings working in fields and in trees and in waterfalls and underground. Out into this ocean, they're all working, learning how to experience what other beings on their bodies are like in the lower planes. Swapping these bodies by moving one Atma to above another body, whether it's a bird or a cow or a dolphin or a whale, or they're all here. And so we get to experience what the consciousness of such beings, the Atma that's running such beings, is like. We learn to respect all life. We learn to recover that natural awareness here. So you see, if we don't go back to this Atma plane where Satnam is, how are we going to ever recover any of that in the lower worlds? We're not. You all can go on your own journeys to explore the vast terrain that's out there. Satnam has given us permission to pass through his realm and go higher. By the way, this is required. You don't just get through these doorways without Satnam. In fact, you don't even go through a portal to other dimensions without silent mentors being involved, so we might as well get used to it. The vortex that was created continues up above Satnam's realm. And Satnam is going with us. These four silent mentor couples are now going up further into another hourglass-shaped golden white whirling vortex with a blue-green light around it. And here it's surrounded by an even brighter golden light because it's moving now from the Atma plane, the upper edge of it, which is very vast. It's going into a specially created parallel dimension between the top of Satnam's realm, and the sixth plane. And it's established there as a training facility. It did not exist there more than 10 years ago. And it's been expanding exponentially ever since. So we're going to move up into this vortex as a group of people, still with this golden, white, transparent light around us like the hull of a spaceship. And we shoot out the other end, a very short trip. And when that vortex vanishes below our feet, we're looking at another even larger floating circular landmass in a brilliant cobalt blue luminous atmosphere surrounding it everywhere, below, around it, as far as you can see in every direction. And the sound coming from it is like, well, I couldn't even call it the most beautiful orchestra I've ever heard. It's more beautiful than that. There's still that high single note of a flute humming around, and a kind of a humming sound very high up. And you can see there's a white diamond-like beach, even brighter, surrounding this circular landmass. And 6 snow-covered blue stone mountain peaks in a circle. Here's the outer circumference. It's near the center. And we're hovering above it. And you look down, you can see the blue glass-like administration tower. There's a white circular, I wouldn't call it sand, it's like stone, it's beautiful. And it's smooth as glass. It comes from the outer circumference edge of this island, surrounded by a blue-green luminous lake. In the base, the circular base between these 6 mountains. It rises up very tall to a flattened oval administration center with a fountain in it, and goes up to a minaret point. That is a doorway. It is a channel of hue from higher planes to feed the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, which is then sent downward into Satnam's realm. Always moving. Out in the distance, when you look at the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, you can see there's a blue-green luminous wave crashing consistently on this sand, smooth as glass. You can hear it humming in the distance as it circles the entire landmass and comes back to its starting point and then continues. It is what the silent mentors utilize to keep this place floating in this vast cobalt blue light of the hue. You can see in the blue there's a gold-white light behind it, just radiant. You look down on this landmass from high above, and you can see that there are white roadways. They appear to come out of the base of these mountains, geometrically lined up, like the shape of a horseshoe tunnel with golden walls. These white stone floors, these roadways as straight as an arrow, like the spokes of a bicycle tire, go to the coast. And you look down the west one from where we are, high above these mountains. You can see that there is a turn to the right in a clearing, a turn to the left, then another turn to the right, and another turn to the left, and it goes like this all the way to the coast. And you look at the other roadways, and there's the same kind of clearings with different kinds of buildings and teaching facilities, all over the entire circumference of the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. The silent mentor facilities here are in various locations. If you look at it like dividing a pizza, cross in the middle, there's a quarter here in the northwest, northeast, southeast, southwest. In the northwest quadrant, there is a roadway that goes right down the middle, 2/3 of the way towards the coast, and turns to the right into a clearing. The same exists in the northeastern quadrant, same in the southwestern quadrant, and the southeastern quadrant. There's these 4 clearings. There is a sphere about 4 feet in diameter, made of a clear glass-like material, but it isn't glass, with a cobalt blue star radiating in it, hovering a few feet above a 100-foot wide stone white floor. In the northwestern quadrant, there are 12 trees in a circle around the outer circumference of this white floor. They look like weeping willow trees. Broad, spoon-shaped, luminous green leaves. There is a silent mentor, alternating male-female, all the way around, standing above the tops of these trees. And above them, the spherical Atma, 4 times larger than us, hovering there. These are 4 silent mentor teaching facilities in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. Here we can kind of rub shoulders with these beings. We've been to the northeastern one, I think, once. I've taken people to the southwestern one, which has a white marble floor and a fountain. And hovering above it is like a crystal headset, just smooth and polished, fits around your forehead and around the side of your temples. In the pure energy form you show up as a body. The Atma hovering above it. That is connected directly to Source itself from here. So you have the opportunity of putting that on, getting to the Hue Expansion Ray Academy and going right into the heart of all that is, and returning to the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. In the southeastern quadrant, there is another set of trees and silent mentors. In the northeastern one, another set of trees and silent mentors. The only one with the crystal headset is in the southwestern quadrant. You need this overview so you can explore this at your leisure at another time. Out in the distance, out offshore in this cobalt blue light, as if that was an ocean, but it's not water. There are 12 pure, clear domes on small islands circling the outside of the Hue Expansion Ray Academy offshore. There are 3 golden-sided, 4-sided pyramids with quartz caps in each one, and you can see a silent mentor couple hovering above each one. These are other training facilities, a little more advanced. So they have facilities here. And before we go to the source itself, it'd be wise if we went and met with some. So we're going to go to one place I've gone to pretty frequently, a northwestern quadrant, down the roadway right down the middle of that quarter of a pie, so to speak. And we're going to hover above this clearing. There's a white golden shaft of golden light coming down, very pastel, about 4 feet thick, right through Turelian, who's hovering in it. Above this crystal sphere about 4 foot in diameter with a cobalt blue star radiating in it, this connects source energy. It's hovering above this white stone floor, not touching it. So we find ourselves in a circle around Turelian, just as we were. And I'm standing in this beam with him. This is how we're working it. And then you look up at these weeping willow type trees, luminous bright. Each one of the leaves on each tree stands for a location in everything above and below here. It is a doorway. The silent mentors are guardians, and they're standing above these doorways. And above them, this 4 foot, it's quite a bit wider in diameter than us. Spectacularly beautiful, more teardrop levels than we have. The energy is moving right down into them like a single shaft of white golden light, coming down to each one of them. It's moving through us, right through the form that looks physical, right through the white core of the Atma, right into Turelian and upward. It's coming upward through that vortex, passing through us the other way, simultaneously moving, and it passes back through the silent mentors. What is happening here is we're rubbing shoulders with the type of being we call silent mentors, and master teacher was represented by Turelian. So we get a bit of a mix in the middle of what it's like to be a little bit of both. What can I say? New prototypes are coming into creation to help govern the way things are run differently in the lower worlds of time and space than they've ever been run before. Necessary. The sound here can't even be described in human terms. It's too beautiful. It's all around us. we're going to go over and just hover down and land our feet into this brilliant diamond-like sand at the end of the northern roadway, north end of the roadway. We look back and right straight down into, you can see the 6 snow-covered mountain peaks behind us. And you can see a dome covering a small island, round, with the 3 pyramids in it, a silent mentor couple hovering above it. And we're standing on this beach. And that sand is a charged energy. And it goes up our legs into the white core of our being while we're standing there in a line. Just right down along the beach, in the curve of the beach. This is help us remember who and what we are and what we've always been that exists above the void. Because the true nature of our being as the Atma is that we have never left the source. This is a multidimensional, capable type of being that we are. We can have this Atma hovering above your physical, astral, causal, mental, and etheric bodies all simultaneously, running them. And unfortunately, in the lower worlds, most people are unaware they're even doing it. This has to change. If we want to be normal, as many other beings are, this has to change. We find ourselves now levitating off this sand, circling Turelian, and he's moving us out over this ocean of light and sound, this cobalt blue light. And we come to hover above the dome that's out there, Silent Mentor Training Facility, one of 12. We find ourselves inside it. There's a huge fountain in the center of it, between the pyramids, moving energy up and down, like a Christmas tree, blue, green, golden light. We're going into one of the 3 pyramids, the one off to the left, in a triangular position, and we're moving inside it. And we find that there is a golden light about a foot deep, like water, radiating in it. This you'll find in a number of teaching facilities for a specific purpose. There is a fountain in it, almost like a Christmas tree running up and down, doing something. And what we're going to do with Turelian is simply go right inside it, and then we're shot upward. The next thing you know, we're in a fiery realm. Blues and greens and oranges and yellows and reds, just like fire, and swirling up out of the ground, moving all around us. And we're fine, we're safe. It doesn't harm us, it just moves through us. This massive being, this sphere of light, this multidimensional being we call Agam Purusha, approaches us to say hello and welcome us here. You're going to see me move away from Turelian and go right inside this being. We're friends, buddies, pals. And you can see me hovering in there between 2 of his teardrops. He's a big guy. And we're talking. And I'm sharing with him about you all. And I'm asking him if he wants some more friends. If you volunteer, you can become a friend with this being here and now. Your choice. And if I leave him, I go back to standing beside Turelian. He's giving us permission to go into what in the background looks like a gigantic fir tree. Silver golden, radiant, perfectly formed, thick branches. Roots going down into invisibility below us. Top of the tree extending beyond sight. And up this trunk of this tree is a golden white light running. It's transparent. So we're moving as a group right through the branches, past the needles. They pass right through. And as we pass them, you can see a location in each needle, somewhere in the lower dimensions. And in the Atma plane, where Satnam is as well. And then we're in the trunk of this tree, and up we go. We have been given permission to go into Source or Prime Creator, the Ancient One itself. This is many dimensions above the Hue Expansionary Academy. We're bypassing all those levels in order to not get more confused and just plug right into the source. It has been leading us here with this high note of a flute since we left space outside of Earth's atmosphere. When we come out the other end of that one, we are even in a more gigantically vast, brighter cobalt blue light everywhere. Way in the center of it is one singular, looks like a golden white silvery galaxy turning on its axis. It has a bald center like a physical plane galaxy, but it's transparent. There's an island, a white one, floating in the center of it in a void, and there's a huge spherical being hovering above it. That's where we're going. So as a group of beings around Trillian, we're Atmas like them, but as we pass between just two of these outer, what you thought were stars, they are white golden light beings, spherical. We're moving easily between them, continuing our journey through the levels until we come out into a void in the center. And then we're projected forward until we're hovering as a group near the shore of this beautiful big, and this prime creator or source is a humming sound coming from it that cannot be described in human language. But it moves through us. It has all these levels of teardrop shapes, more than any other individual being has, even silent mentors. And we're moving through these individual teardrops of faculty. These are all made of pure energy, all different frequencies. And as we move in between these teardrops headed toward the very white core of this source of all that is, we realize that somewhere out there, we are one of those beings floating around this center. We never left. You just know it. And then we find ourselves as spherical beings hovering inside the white core of this being until you don't see all these outer layers of teardrops. You see just a white sphere, golden sphere, hovering in a more massive white golden sphere of light. We are individuals in this one energy source that is not an individual. It's not a guy or a girl sitting on a throne, and you hear a deep baritone voice with beautiful celestial feminine qualities to it. Can't even be described. Welcoming you home. There's no reason to ask questions here because we already are part of the source. We know the answers. So this rubs off on us too. In a flash of light, we find ourselves all the way down the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. And we're moving down that same roadway in the northwestern quadrant, but instead of turning to the right to the silent mentor, those weeping willow trees and the 12 silent mentors, we're turning to the left. There's a very special teaching facility here that's just been being exposed to people like you on these journeys. And it's a left turn into a clearing instead of right. 2/3 of the way down this roadway. And in it, in a triangular formation, are 3 structures. One is a big 4-sided golden pyramid with a quartz top, literally radiating energy. You can see through the transparent walls, and there's a foot-thick, deep, luminous golden light there. There are 2 other foot-deep pools with a golden stone around them. One is blue, one is green. And there's a Christmas tree-like fountain hovering above these scalloped edges in the middle. There's a white golden shaft of light coming out to each and one to the quartz top of that pyramid. Now what these represent is blue and green, male and female, not physical, as Atmas. To be rebalanced, to regain our understanding of how this works in the upper realities and how it's supposed to work in the lower realities. You find yourself a foot deep in this blue radiant energy. And this energy is moving up your feet through the top of your head, right into the white core of your being and out to the blue layer, turning on some of those teardrops. They haven't been destroyed. They've just been ignored, dormant, not turned on, not used. You can see the energy is coming through this fountain tree thing, charging this water, doing something to us. As it comes through the top of your head into the white core of your being, it's projected back to that fountain. So there's a flow. Then we find ourselves standing in a circle in the green fountain. In the green foot-deep pool in this golden-sided wall around it. And the same thing happens to us there. And we find ourselves standing in the golden luminous liquid, a foot deep, with a more massive fountain in the center of this huge pyramid. And it represents Source. It represents Satnam. It represents what third element is required for us to co-create anything of any constructive benefit. It takes the feminine and the masculine and the third energy to do that. Now this is normal and natural. So we're getting a little bit of a rehabilitation here. We find ourselves all the way down in space, instantly. The sound of this deep humming like soft thunder, no lightning, is around us in the form of the hue that's in space, and we're by Earth. But we're not looking at the Earth you're usually familiar with. We're looking at an Earth that has a huge continent over one side of it, from the left to the right hemisphere, another one 2/3 its size, centered over the equator, and a moon like the one we have, but life and oxygen, atmosphere, and little dome cities turning on its axis, orbiting the Earth. See, that's normal. That is in the third higher parallel dimension of the physical universe. There are 144 of them before you even get to the astral plane. And we're looking at that Earth because there's no pollutants of any kind in that atmosphere on that Earth. Very few people work on that planet. You look down to the southern pole and about a third of the way up for where this landmass comes, there's an upward curved Half Moon Bay radiant green beach drawing us to it from space. So Torelli and all of us are suddenly moving through the atmosphere of this planet. You can look down on it and see that there is a huge Himalayan-like mountain range in the center of this continent that is as large as the left and right hemisphere of the planet. Agam Des is a city in the middle of that. Shangri-La, Shambhala, all that stuff, that's where it is. It's not in the physical Himalayas. It's in a higher level of physical matter. Ramu hangs his hat there. You see us down on this beach and you're wiggling your toes in emerald green sand. You're down at that curved beach. And inland you can see a single snow-covered mountain, several miles inland to the right, and a clear dome covering a very special city. 3 4-sided golden pyramids with quartz crowns. A semicircular mountain range in the back with little waterfalls, blue-green luminous water coming out of cavern openings, filling an oval blue-green lake. Little white living domes around it, little pathways of white stone. And these weeping willow trees with broad spoon-shaped leaves glowing, planted here. This is in the physical universe. And in those trees are these birds with these long V-shaped split tails. Here, a version of what we saw and greeted us in Atma's Satnam's realm. And standing on one of the white paths that leads to a landing pad on the other side of this clear circular lake, oval lake, between that and these 3 pyramids in the background, which are laboratories of a type, is Opelum. He's just standing there with his hand up, with his fingers open so you can see the webs between them. Now this is his actual physical body that is visiting this planet from Oceania. He's just standing there to greet us. Etta and Din are hovering to each side of his shoulders, wiggling their fingers, the thumb and fingers like a human. Atma's hovering above all of them. You look up at this waterfall cascading 2/3 of the way out of a cavern opening in the side of this mountain, dropping thousands of feet, a luminous blue-green water. It disappears between these blue, slightly green-tinged forest trees. It eventually wakes its way down to that emerald green beach. The dome city that we're in has a purpose. There are circular disc-shaped blue landing pads on the outside of it, and some scout craft parked there. There's an oval opening in a cavern above, or a man-made oval opening above this waterfall with little dome lights, and it goes down and winds itself through this mountain, changing the molecular time rate of a ship until it lands in the interior of Mount Shasta in Northern California in a Galactic Alliance base that was built there in 1908. So it is a doorway that can go from Earth in the parallel dimension you're used to this Earth, if you have the technology in the ship to take you there. Or we get there as we're doing now as the Atma. We don't need a ship. Back on the beach, we realize that this emerald green beach that's glowing a foot above the sand is a gift. And there are two tall beings, 10 feet tall, longer necks, longer fingers and hands and legs, silver-like hair to their shoulders. Looks like silver metal, but it's not. Violet eyes, ivory-colored skin, beautifully dressed. And they're walking up to us, and they move like swans. These are a Xentronomus couple from a planetary system located on the other side of the Milky Way galaxy in our physical parallel dimension, where Earth is as you know it. And this emerald green beach and the way it's charged, there's a statue of this woman that is Donantalis, and she is Freshun Muntis. About a mile inland, there's a clearing with a white stone floor in a circle and a statue of a woman made of quartz polished, 10 feet tall. And we're just looking at this, and there's a gold band around the statue's head. It has a downward pointing teardrop-shaped emerald cut stone. And the hands of the statue are up with the palms out, glowing with this green light. Inside, you can see right inside the transparent nature of this device. And this woman and this man are standing in this green glowing energy inside it. And you realize back on the beach as this energy moves up your feet and goes into the white core of your being and out to that green layer, it is a gift to help us remember all the lives we've lived in the lower dimensions of time and space that have wisdom for us to derive there. The negative stuff we don't need to look at at all. Waste of time. So then we find ourselves in space around Turelian, looking at the Earth you're familiar with the barren moon with meteor craters, no atmosphere, doesn't turn on its axis as it orbits the Earth. You can see the sun. You can see all the beautiful blue and yellow and red and orange stars out there. And this white golden light behind it all, what people call outer space, humming. And you find yourself hovering above your body back on Earth, where we started this journey. The couple that's still behind you from the Galactic Alliance are smiling. Before they vanish and return to their bodies that are asleep, for the most part on the Emerald Star Cruiser or even from other world systems, the Galactic Alliance. There's a white golden energy coming down through the roof of where you live. And we're bringing it back with us. Now, you can see yourself from here, hovering above your body. And you can see the etheric body standing near a palace, transparent, opening its eyes. And you can see a mental body in a whole different realm, near vast palatial estates, opening its eyes. You see the causal body, with world systems and spacecraft more advanced than in the physical universe. And you're on an island by a dome. You're opening your eyes. You're on a balcony. And then you're in the astral plane. Millions of islands on one world. And you're living on one of them. No polar ice caps. It's a pure part of the astral. And here, you're sitting in a chair or standing up, opening your eyes. And as you're looking from your place on Earth, you're seeing that the etheric body's looking up to the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, past the void. It's looking down then to the mental body. The mental body's looking up to it. The mental body's looking down to the causal. The causal's looking up. It looks down to the astral and so forth. And then the astral looks down to you. So where all emotion comes from. Now, this emotion is balanced. It's in serenity of being. And it's moving through you in your home. Through you, through the spherical being you are hovering above the body, through the electromagnetic field we call the aura that surrounds the body, comes out the south pole of your spine, up through the north of your head, through the pineal gland, and then it continues out into Earth's atmosphere. It comes through you for your benefit and continues onward through you for the benefit of others. The Hue Expansion Ray and what it's designed to do is created in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, tested by Satnam. And when it comes back true, necessary, and kind, then it is implemented. What is underway now has not been implemented before in hundreds of billions of years. This is new. So we have the great opportunity to become liberated beings. It passes through 3 pyramids stationed on Earth now that are not made of physical matter. They're very real. One on each of the deepest oceans, one in the Atlantic and the Pacific. Even the classified military know they're there. They can't do anything with them. Weapons, energy, nothing will affect them at all. And they're turned on. There's one in this hollowed-out interior of a mountain in the Himalayas. And the energy comes through fountains in each side of each one of these, which are devices. And it's moved to a bigger pyramid stationed between 2 stable asteroids in the asteroid field that circles in the orbit of what was a planet between Mars and Jupiter. And then it's beamed through a series of other pyramids, very specific structure, to the heart or the axis of the galaxy itself. To an Atma, what's running up and down the central of what people call a black hole is a powerful white golden light, constantly moving up and down. This energy that passed through us is now going right to the source of that galaxy, going up this vortex, up through the planes, and right back to source where we were on this journey. So this is how we bring back to an Earth consciousness stuff they've never learned and could learn. It isn't available from any teacher or anybody on Earth yet. Stuff you used to know well. So when you're comfortable, open your eyes. You can turn on your mics. And we can chat because to me, these journeys for me are as surprising in some ways as they are to you. We explored some very special training facilities in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. We get to rub shoulders with silent mentors. What that means, I can't tell you. I just know it's good. And your mic's not on yet. There, now it's on. Hi, Margaret.
Hi. Oh.
So, what's the practical nature of these journeys? There's only one way you discover that. That's because your intelligence goes up. Your comprehension of the nature of the multidimensional creation begins to awaken. Your ability to see things in other worlds and other systems you're not taught on earth at all, not from the best guru in India, begins to awaken. Stuff you once knew well and long forgotten begins to awaken. You begin to bring back the wisdom of these journeys, so naturally your IQ goes through the roof. It can't even be measured on earth right now. It's way beyond their system. If you can see places in the multidimensional creation by going on these journeys, then you can go to those places. The one power will take you there, but only if you can remember how to see such things. It is your ability to see this and project it into the omnipresent power, and then that one power takes you there. It is required. So these journeys are significant because they help you folks and me remember how to see things that you can't do on your own. You need a little, you're not taught this on earth. There's no practical basis. The subconscious mind rules everything down here. It shouldn't. Right, Margaret?
Yeah, it does.
I don't know if Anna's probably asleep, or she might be there. She might want to talk. And Renata might be asleep, or maybe she's there. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's perfectly fine.
I'm being so much more aware of being the Atma each time I go on.
Yeah, that's the whole point of them. You know,
Yeah.
it's not about money. Hey, fear makes money. You want to peddle fear and get stuck here? Go ahead. You can make money peddling fear. It works all over the world. People love it.
Yeah.
You peddle the truth. Well, you can make money, but it's like there's not a lot of people on earth that support it yet. They will when they know it's good for them. Right now, most people fight that, you know, having to give up their belief systems for the truth, to go back and co-create and be responsible for this mess we call evil. Who do you think made it this way?
We did.
we did. A devil? Well, then we're little devils, aren't we? And little saints, we did. And we collectively, with those who can do it, are aware enough to do it, and who don't have the problems we have, we can create great change. That's what they're doing, and we're starting to do it with them.
Yeah.
It's a win-win scenario. Any questions?
No, not really. No, it's just getting stronger each time. It's amazing. Yeah.
I wish there were thousands of people and we had to go to a whole other format to even conduct these, like in a coliseum or a...
Yeah, how amazing that would be.
But we'd have to have the government on our side at that point. That's coming too. This is the work behind disclosure. I never mentioned that before because it's not about me touting my own whistle. Forget that nonsense. But it's true.
Yeah.
Because the people in disclosure communities don't have a clue about any of this that's going on out there in space. They have not a clue. The Galactic Alliance personnel, so much more advanced than we are just now going to source, back to source on these journeys. They're teaching in the U Expansionary Academy because they go through this so much more quickly than people on Earth do. So they become mentors for us. They're not doing it for ego. They don't have money. They don't even care about the baubles people fight over on Earth. Couldn't give a hoot about that stuff. Millions of years ago, they let go of that. Come on already. Earth's got a lot of catching up to do. My goodness. To be a spacefaring race amongst so many worlds, we're going to have to be given their technology. It would take us millions of years to earn it on our own. Ain't going to happen that way. You can produce an anti-gravitic ship and drive it to a few planets, but you can't take it out among the stars from Earth.
No.
This solar system is quarantined for our protection, but also because they've sent away what you would call greys and reptilians and other beings a long time ago, 25 years ago, more than that. Gone. People on Earth are suffering from subconscious fear, creating havoc. This was from the negative influence of beings who misused science in the physical universe long ago. At the end of a great war, 500,000 years ago, we're still suffering from it. But that's not the only thing that's making people unconscious here on Earth. Primary and secondary implants do. But when they're gone, or when you know what they are, then your courage and your ability to go further just is naturally there.
Yeah.
That's what the journeys are about. Lee, you have any questions?
I'll have to
Okay.
review the video first before I.
Well,
There's a lot going on today.
I'll have it up on my YouTube channel tonight, so you can go there and
Yeah,
watch it again whenever you want. Did you want me to send it to you, or just want to go to my YouTube channel and watch it?
I'm okay with the YouTube channel. I think it's more
Yeah.
organized because I have limited space with the Dropbox, so I just go to
Yeah.
YouTube here for me.
Okay. Let's see.
I think my Dropbox is full.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's okay. I'll send one to Anna and maybe to Renata, and I guess you,
Yeah.
Mark. And then I won't to
You,
you ladies. You can you'll find it on my YouTube channel. You know where it is. Just go there and watch
Yeah.
whenever you want. And,
Yeah.
I find if you just download it, it deletes eventually. Then you create more space. Because I just download it to my phone.
oh, I think that's a pretty big file for a phone.
Yeah. Wouldn't accept mine.
It's a huge file for a phone. It's video, it's audio, it's gigabyte type stuff level.
Oh yeah, no, I got all of them on my phone.
Really?
Yeah.
You must have an iPhone or something.
I
Yep.
just I've got them all on subscriptions, on their subscription.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't have any problem
Okay.
with
Yeah.
with mine.
Except when you're looking at it on a phone, it's not very spacious to see it. When you see it on a big desktop computer, if you have one, then you can see it large,
Yeah.
Well, I like it on my phone because then I can connect it to my receiver and have it in surround sound.
Oh, I see.
Oh,
Then you go.
But the visual's very small. It's like
Well,
this.
my eyes are closed, so
Oh, right. That's true. I hadn't thought of that, but you're right. You don't really need to see anything, do you? Here.
you're doing it all again.
yeah.
That's funny.
All right. Let's bring this to a close.